What is up, fellow benchwarmers? Welcome to your daily fantasy quick. What is up, guys? Daily Fantasy Quickie. It's the first day of week 19, and it's not a good day. My name is JJT with Komish. Eric Komish, not the best day for fantasy in terms of injuries. Two major players, two major injuries. LeBron, let's start off with LeBron because they didn't play today, but it does not look good based from the reports today. He's gonna miss extended time. No timetable was provided. No diagnosis as well. Has there been diagnosis? No.
No. They will reportedly
Seek
consult.
second opinion.
Yeah, consult more doctors. But he said he heard a pop, and that's the same thing that Lamelo.
That's the
said.
phrase of the
Yeah,
week.
that's the same thing Lamelo said. And actually, given this, I think it's very safe to say it's a multi-week absence. I think it could be months. So it could be the end of LeBron. I mean, not LeBron. I mean, not the end of LeBron. Not end of LeBron this season. The end of LeBron this season. It might be a season ender, which, as I said, very Kobe-like in a eerie sense, no, deja vu for the Lakers.
Yeah, but again, no timetable yet. Personally, I don't think you should drop LeBron now at this point. Maybe wait a couple more days to see where that goes. I'm pretty sure they're gonna give out a timetable. Although based from what happened to AD, it took a while before they gave a timetable, maybe a week or so. So hopefully you still have that IL spot there. I don't see any LeBrons being dropped. So
Soon. I think
soon there will be a lot, especially with the playoffs. If you're in the playoffs though, week 19, it's safe to say I think you'll just drop. You should drop LeBron.
Yeah.
If you are in the playoffs, I don't think he's coming back for week 20 and 21 as well.
Listen, well, if you have somebody in your IL plus, no sense. I mean, what if he comes back on week 20 but you're out, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if he's droppable. I'm not sure.
Well, in our leagues, we don't have a can't cut list.
Okay.
So in our leagues, everyone can cut. I'm not sure how the can't cut list works because this guy is injured. I don't think he should not be droppable. He should be droppable.
I don't know that also. I think it depends on your settings or what. But I think Yahoo will determine that if he might be in a can't cut list, but if he's out for the season or out for majority of the season, maybe you can message the commissioner to allow him to be dropped, or Yahoo will make him droppable. But since the Lakers are not giving out that definitive injury report, it might linger. It might linger. So that's a problem.
Yeah. And then of course that's LeBron, and then the "I heard a pop" phrase was again heard, or at least was again read from the lips of another top star, and this is we're talking about Lamelo Ball here, and Lamelo Ball looks like we got a very early diagnosis already, fractured foot. He wasn't declared out for the season already, but given that Charlotte is probably tanking, that they don't really have anywhere to go here, and this is their top star, it looks like they will be very, very cautious with this. Imagine how long the sprained ankle took Lamelo out. Right? How long did he come back from that sprained ankle? Weeks, 6 weeks, right? 5, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So this is probably worse because there's a.
This is a sprain. This is a fractured ankle, not a fractured foot. So it's a fractured ankle. is actually the same to what happened to Gordon Hayward. Remember that gruesome injury, but that one was way worse because there's levels to this. No, I researched about it, but safe to say from all my research, it will take 6 to 8 weeks before he starts to do some therapy and stuff. He will hopefully recover from this, but it seems like he's not coming back this season. I would say he will not come back this season. He's not
Yeah.
coming back this season. And
I
I'll
would,
leave it to Jeremy to rant because he has a lot of Lamelo.
yeah, because this was frustrating. I have a league wherein this 16-team league wherein I moved from 12, 13 to now I think 7th. And then I was so excited, even though I was going up against the top team in our league, because I had Lamelo, who has 4 games this week, and my opponent had Jokic, who had 2 games. So, it seems like everything was aligning. And then suddenly this happened. I mean, I don't have a lot. I think I have one in our league. I have Lamelo, but Lamelo, I'm pretty much out of that league. Um, and then I have one. I'm also the Buhay Basket League. I'm also kind of out there. And then I have one wherein I'm fifth. I think uh,
Mhm.
that's that's a more problematic one. But I'm safely in the playoffs, so I'll just see how that works or what happens there. Yeah, but yeah, I think this is just not good. To be fair to Lamelo, when he was playing, he was good.
Yeah,
That's all I can say. Consistently good. Consistent. I
we
don't.
posted that
Yeah,
first round. I mean, I mean, you were able to come back, right?
yeah.
So that was how good he was. That was how
Well,
good he
that was
was.
a combination of a lot of things as well. Jaren Jackson came back earlier than expected, and then Gobert started to play better, and then
Okay.
that's why last week I had a 8-1 win, and then Jamal Murray had a really good stretch, right? A few weeks of really good stretch before getting injured again, or at least having some slight injuries. So plus I worked the waivers. Like I had Zach Collins, I had Branham, I had a bunch of guys I picked up that really helped my team a lot. So yeah, but overall I think I couldn't remember a really, maybe there's just one or two really bad game wherein you feel like that's not a good game by Lamelo. The last before this one, I think the last game he shot 4 out of or 6 out of 18 or something like that.
6 out of 22. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
checking
yeah,
that's
I
right
think
now.
that's the last one. But the other category, other stats were still okay, right? I mean, that's the good
Yeah.
thing about Lamelo. If he doesn't shoot well, he gives you what, maybe 9, 10 assists, 9, 10 rebounds to make up for it. So overall, I think it's still a good season for Lamelo. It's just frustrating because the whole year has been about injuries, injuries, injuries. It's not the year
Yeah.
of the Ball brothers, I guess.
I guess, he ended up playing 36 games this season. So that's really bad. That's really bad, especially if you got him in your first round. But as Jeremy said, he played relatively well, especially this February. He was shooting better from the 3-point zone. He had 4 3-pointers a game. So 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 24 points. Those are great numbers. Those are great numbers. And almost 1.5 steals. So he was doing his thing. Now this is concerning going forward because yesterday we talked about Lillard, we talked about Steph, we talked about SGA, injury prone. This is a test case. No, is he injury prone? Because this year is the first year really that he got injured, but his injuries are all the ankle. It's all ankle injuries, and this one is even a non-contact one.
Yeah.
Is his ankle problematic like Steph before? And would that factor into his fantasy value in the future? This is something very interesting. It's very
I
interesting.
I think it will.
Yeah, it should.
We talked about the Lamelo Halliburton comparison or face off a few weeks ago. I think that the tag of being injury prone will be put into Lamelo, and there will be managers who will pick Halliburton more than Lamelo just because of that. I mean, overall, I think the game of Lamelo, they're not, I think they're close, but Lamelo's game, you'd be wowed by it a little bit more because he consistently gives you that 10 rebounds. I mean, 9, 10 rebounds. But I think just because he got injured this year, he'll drop. Plus, we've seen some guys like SGA come up. He'll probably move up the ranks, like we talked yesterday about it. He'll probably move there in the first round. Maybe a few other guys will move there. I mean, AD would probably, if he finishes the rest of the year, would probably move higher than he was picked this year. I would think that would be the case as well. So yeah, but still, I think he's still gonna be picked first round. I don't. I
Yeah,
There's not a lot of options really.
this is different. I mentioned this because I don't think he is injury prone, but there is a specific part of his body that is problematic. So I don't
Yeah,
know. We could, I mean, is that
no, the sample size is not big to say that he's injury prone. What's his third year, fourth year?
how many brain ankles did they have this?
This
Yeah,
year he had
third or fourth. But
three injuries.
Steph was also like that basically at this point of his career when the ankles was I don't know what he did. He was able to fix that. No, but remember, Golden State wasn't even thinking of giving him a max
Yeah,
because of
because of
those
that
ankles.
ankle. Yeah,
Yeah, those ankles were problematic, and it seems like Lamelo will have the same situation. Considering this is a fracture right now, this is not just a sprain, and it's a non-contact one. Maybe there is really something wrong with those. I don't know. Maybe the
with
shoes he's
how he
wearing,
runs
how he runs.
with
He's not
Puma.
even a high. He's
Are
not
you
even a
saying there's
high.
something wrong with Puma?
Is he Puma?
Yeah.
Okay. But I don't know. I don't know. Well, that was an issue with Steph, right? With what he was wearing before. I think it was also brought up. But
Yeah.
this is interesting because, as I said, I more worry about this than, let's say, AD. Let's say the others, because the others could be different parts of the body, but it sometimes there's contact. But something like this, certain part of the body, that means he's more prone to sprained ankles, for instance, and which is the most common injury in basketball.
Yeah.
So I'm more wary of this, to be honest, for Lamelo going forward. It's not as simple as SGA or Steph or Dame. This is more serious, in my opinion. For
Plus the way
instance,
he got it. Plus the
the
way
way
he
he
got
got
it.
it. Yeah, the way he
Three
got it.
times he got it. Right. The
Yeah,
first time was freak. The second time was running
freak.
Yeah, freak accident as well. The
Yeah.
first one was, I think he stepped on a fan or something. He stepped on a foot of.
No, the first one was the bad one. The first one was in the preseason, I think.
Yeah. It was in the preseason game.
But it wasn't the fan. The second one was the fan. I
All
think the
right,
second
that's
was
the
the fan.
second one. He stepped on the foot
Yeah.
of a fan,
Yeah.
and then
I think this
now
one. Yeah.
it's non-contact, which makes it a little worse, right? And if you look at the play, it didn't seem like it's gonna be this bad
Mm.
until you saw the lip until you read the lips saying that he heard it pop, right? It didn't seem to look as bad. He tried to make a crossover, and then, like you said, it was non-contact. Nothing really major there. I mean, it wasn't like the D'Lo injury where you really saw him twist the ankle or what.
Or even Gordon Hayward injury.
Yeah.
Those injuries, those are things you can explain. This one you can't.
This one is hard, right? I mean, even the
Yeah.
LeBron one.
Well, yeah, true. Even the LeBron one, but I think the LeBron one is wear and tear also.
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a while that he's been complaining about so many things. So that's why I think there's a fracture. I even before Lamelo's diagnosis was a fracture, I don't know, in our private GCs, I already said that I think LeBron's is a fracture. That it's just my thinking. There's might be a break in the bone or whatever. That's why he heard something. And give credit to him. He finished the game. He finished the game. He
Yeah, well,
left.
Lamelo walked on his own power, did not
That's
seem
true.
to limp as much, right? He had some limp, but it wasn't like I said, when he went out, it didn't look like, it was something major,
Major, yeah.
right? As a fracture. So yeah,
Who
that's it.
benefits?
That's it for now. If you are in the playoffs, I talked about this a bit. I tweeted about this. If you are in the playoffs and you have Lamelo in your team, don't lose hope. The
Well,
good thing here is that somehow there could be some categories that you might want to focus on. Your
that's
field
true.
goals might be better. Your field goals might
That's
be
true.
better. You probably
Turnovers.
have less turnovers. He wasn't as good in the steals department as before. So if you've got other players who, so that will he won't hurt you there. I think the categories he would hurt you probably are the assists and maybe the rebound, but I don't think he's gonna be your anchor in the rebound because he's not a center, he's a guard. So it's not like it's going to be, the end of your season at this point. Like we said, you only need 5 categories, right?
Uh, it's more manageable if you already made the playoffs because you can compartmentalize the problem into
Yeah.
look at it week by week. Okay, this week I just have, as Josh Lloyd mentioned in his email to people about the playoffs in his LOFB poll. Don't mind what the because a lot of people were asking and I guess barraging him with messages. What's the format? What's the format? What's the format? He said the format is just to beat the guy in front of you. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what he said, which is true. Don't look ahead. Don't look at who's next, who's whatever. Just beat the
Forget
guy.
about the schedule. Forget
About who gets what, who gets who. Just the guy in front of you, and that is a matchup. This is playoff, fantasy playoff. Fantasy playoff situation, and that is what I was able to do in the World Cup because I was able to concentrate on one particular team. I didn't care about the others. I just cared about who he picked, what his
Yeah.
team build was, and that was how I adjusted. And I think that's what you can do if you own Lamelo or LeBron. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
But at
You
least
will,
it's the
you know,
playoff.
in the playoffs, if you're new to this, sometimes you will even get to a point where you will add a player, even if it's not as beneficial to you, you will just add that player just so the other manager wouldn't be able to add it.
Yeah,
Him, right? I mean,
possibly.
there were times when those things happen in the past, especially if you reach the semis or the finals. You don't want that person to get this player, so I just get him.
Yeah,
Since I'm leading already or I have some cushion, and also the commish talked about forgetting a lot of things. Forget about what happened in the regular season, how strong you are in certain categories, because sometimes it will surprise you, but sometimes it's matchup based as well. And this team, even though you beat him in the regular season, does not mean you're gonna beat him again uh, in the playoffs
yeah, that's
because
true. That's
he
true.
may have made some
It doesn't
moves.
matter.
It doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it
It
doesn't
doesn't
matter
matter.
because he might have made some trades along the way. You met him early on in the season. You met him 10 weeks ago, which
Nothing
was
matters.
right. So it's really nothing. And so even if you lose Lamelo, if in fact if you are in the playoffs and you stuck with Lamelo, that means you have a good team because you stuck with Lamelo, you still got to the playoffs, and you survived. That means you still have a great chance of you still have a
That's
good
true.
team.
That's true.
Imagine
And
36 games of your first rounder and you're still in the playoffs.
yeah, that's true. And the fact is, you need, as Jeremy said, you need 5-4.
Yeah,
So even if you lose your first rounder, you can win in certain weeks at 5-4. Because what if? I mean, it's silly season time. It started. It started already. We have seen so many rests. So things happen, and never lose hope. Now, if you have Lamelo, I'm sure Dennis Smith Jr. is not available because everybody was fast. I was I, I was so busy tweeting, posting about Lamelo. Then I suddenly realized, oh yeah, I mean Dennis Smith Jr. is the beneficiary. I was gonna add him, and he's gone everywhere in all of my leagues. But to be fair, no, I don't think Dennis Smith Jr. is a grand slam
yeah,
ad. Not like before. People forget something. Before, when Dennis Smith Jr. was going crazy, Terry Rozier was also out.
yeah.
So it was Rozier and Lamelo both out, and then Dennis Smith was on fire. Now that Terry Rozier is still there, and I think Rozier will get a lot of minutes at the point guard also. So I
Yeah,
think the
Rozier was there
stats of
when the second time Lamelo was
yeah, and
out.
yeah,
Dennis Smith didn't do much.
yes,
Although he was also injured that time. So I mean, I think he came back from an injury. So I think it's not a grand slam. Don't fret about it if we're not able to get him. Especially in the playoffs. I mean, there will be players there in the waiver that you will be able to pick up. As you said, it's sometimes it's silly season already, and Detroit started it today. Ivy's out. Who else is out? Isaiah Stewart's out. Duren is out.
Bojan is out.
Bojan is out, right?
So I love that game. Perfect. I mean, watching Weissman versus Mark Williams. By the way, just to complete the Charlotte situation, Kelly Oubre, I think I've seen him in some waiver wires. I think he's gonna benefit from this. If PJ comes back, PJ was gonna benefit.
Gordon Hayward could benefit a lot as well.
Yeah, Hayward will also benefit a lot. In terms of level of benefits, I think Rozier number 1, Hayward number 2, and then Oubre number 3. I think these three, of course, Dennis Smith Jr. is an ad, but from those who are probably
those three will probably will be better than Dennis Smith Jr. most likely.
Yeah, they'll be better than Dennis Smith Jr. Oubre is questionable because Dennis Smith Jr. at least has steals, assists, some rebounds. No, overall, he's just gonna kill your field goal. Basically, what Killian Hayes is doing right now. So if you have Killian Hayes, then just add Dennis Smith Jr.
Hey, Killian Hayes had 4 steals and 2 blocks.
Well, that's segueing to Detroit. As we said, they only had 8 players today. There were so many sudden rest and injuries. What will happen going forward? I don't know. Isaiah Livers got hurt, so I'll put him out. But will Bojan, Isaiah Stewart, and Ivy come back? And Bojan, yeah, the three of them.
I think Bojan has the biggest risk here. Because Bojan's the oldest player.
Ivy is for personal reasons. So I think Ivy will be back the next game. But Bojan and Stewart, what will happen? Will they play? Won't they play? We don't know. Stewart was questionable today. It doesn't seem like it's a very major injury. Yeah. So this is hard. But for me, Bagley, Weissman, you have to add them until further notice. Until the wheels fall off or whatever. You have to add those two. Diallo, you can stream him in certain situations. Especially, I think Bojan will still not play the next game. My guess. I still think he's still going to be out. So I think you can stream Diallo. Not a must add, but just stream worthy at this point.
Yeah. So that's the Detroit situation. I think it's also going to be better for if you added Bagley and Weissman because Duren is still out. Like you said, Stewart out. So that means there's no other players there in that front court.
What do you do with Duren? What do you do with Duren? I ask you this.
Well, if I have an IL, I still hold. What if you're in the playoffs though?
Who would you drop? Let's say you have Duren, you have Zubac. Let's say, it's also questionable. And then you have a healthy player like maybe Plumlee who's not performing well. You have a Herb Jones. Who do you drop among those guys? Or Trey Murphy maybe.
No, if you're in the playoffs, if you don't have enough IL spot, I'll probably go so hard, right? Zubac. I'll probably go Zubac.
You'll drop Zubac over Duren?
Yeah. It's hard, right? But the upside though is higher with Duren.
I dropped Duren already.
Is it the playoffs? No.
No, next week is the playoffs in our league. I just don't think he's coming back. I just don't. And I mean, I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. And I might be wrong. I just don't think he's gonna be back anytime soon. So it is in the league.
Duren over Zubac.
No, I don't have Zubac there. I just gave that example. But that is in the league where Jared Vanderbilt was dropped. I picked up Vanderbilt. I did. I just felt it's a worthy gamble with LeBron out. So I picked up.
You might be wondering why Jared Vanderbilt was dropped before the big game he had yesterday.
I did talk to Leo. What's his name?
Leon.
One
manager complained about it.
Yeah, he complained. I explained to him that it happened before the big game, and there was a reason. And I did say that it looks like I will be the beneficiary, but it's not. there was no that to take into account why we allowed it. But it just so happened that I was
it's coincidentally, something like these things happen. There was one time last year wherein a player was accidentally dropped, and I was number one in that
uh,
league. And of course, we had to decide whether we should allow it. Of course, I allowed it, but there are some penalty if you drop. In our leagues, if you accidentally drop a player, you won't be able to make moves for 2 weeks
yeah.
on the first offense. So there are penalties if you accidentally drop, because it happens
But,
sometimes.
but just for our listeners, no, for FBW listeners, we're not going to be soft in terms of dropping players when you're out, and the players are, for me, worthy. For me, Vanderbilt was really not, because it happened before. He, if you look at the stats before the big game in Dallas, he was just so. It just happened that the timing after, and then the LeBron
Yeah.
injury happened after, and we can't judge that
And if you think
after
about
the
that,
aftermath.
he did that in what, 18 minutes? Less than 20, I think. 20
Yeah.
minutes.
Yes.
It
Yes.
wasn't the
Yes. That's
minutes
true.
weren't as high as well, right? It wasn't
That's
as
true.
high. It would be probably a different story if he played like 30 minutes or 28 minutes. Consistently, there's playing time there. He's gonna be performing. But just a good example here. Last year, Jaylen Brown was dropped. I think last year, towards the fantasy playoffs, Jaylen Brown was injured. And there was one manager who was trying to survive, trying to make the playoffs. And since he had a few guys injured, he decided to drop Jaylen Brown. We are not, strict in those things. I talked to the manager why he dropped Jaylen Brown. He said he thought that he's not gonna come back anymore, or he really needed the wins. He was trying to make the playoffs, and that's why he had to make the tough decision. So
Makes
yeah,
sense.
long story short, even the team who picked him up, he made the playoffs but didn't even win. So it was not a big deal. But that's a big name player. This is not Jared Vanderbilt we're talking about. That's just Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown. Yeah.
So yeah, we don't have a can't cut list. That's why we don't have a can't cut list, because you can't cut anyone who's not going to be
Yeah.
performing. Plus, we trust the managers that they are competitive enough not to drop people who shouldn't be dropped, right?
Yeah. 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 I agree.
This is a competitive league, and if you accidentally drop some, that's why we put penalty on accidentally dropping players, because this is a competitive league. You can't accidentally drop players, right? So yeah. Anyway, silly season has started. Any silly season thoughts? Players you should keep track
Well,
of.
we already mentioned, we talked about Detroit and Charlotte. I think San Antonio and Houston are probably the only two other teams that are really out there tanking, because, well, Portland said they're not. So, really out there consciously tanking. But SGA, just a quick segue
SG
to
is out
SGA.
still.
He's out again. So that's the third straight. This is the third or fourth. I think this is the fourth already. Fourth game.
I think
Seems
third.
like
If I'm not mistaken, it's third.
third or fourth. But and I saw a tweet, will we see him again this year? And I said, okay,
It's
is
too
that even,
early.
I mean, is that in the cards already? But I think it's too early, but we'll never know. I did say I
We'll
don't
see
think that.
him. I think he's gonna play again.
Yeah, I think he's gonna come back. I don't think they're gonna shut him down suddenly from
Yeah.
nothing
No,
to
no,
shutting him
he's not
down.
gonna
That's
do.
that's
They're
too
not gonna do
obvious.
that.
That's too obvious. So silly season thoughts. San Antonio, Detroit, these teams. I mentioned the names. I mentioned like Diallo is very interesting for me. It's still available in a lot of leagues. Charles Bassey is still available in a lot of leagues. So there are names there that are okay, that will have potential, but I think will take time. Will
Yeah.
take the right timing. It doesn't mean, oh, it's silly season, I add this guy, add this guy, add this
No,
guy.
no, that's too early.
You time it. Properly, because you can't afford to add them early and then get zeros from them and then you lose.
We don't make speculative ads on silly season
Yeah,
players, right? I mean,
just monitoring them.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to be fast.
Yes.
Usually, these things happen in the playoffs, and these things can win you the playoffs. fantasy playoffs, but not if you're not yet there, right? If they are not yet playing, some of these guys might not be playing yet, right? I
That's
mean,
true. That's true. Some of them might even be in the G League
yeah,
at this point. But that's why I always check the standings. That's another tip. Every single day you check the standings because like New Orleans. Will you ever think that New Orleans is already 10th right now in the standings, 30
yeah,
and 32,
they
half a
lost
game above
again.
Portland?
They,
So you should know those things like how far away are they from the seventh worst record or whatever. Those are the key things that you have to know so that you when you see that something like that, a trend like that, like Indiana, I'm watching Indiana closely because they're starting to keep on losing. Once they're really far off, you never know what happens. You never know what will happen to Miles Turner. You never know these
yeah,
things. So if slowly you can see trends, they will not shut down the star player right away. Sometimes it's slowly, like,
yeah,
25 minutes. 28 minutes. Oh, no back to back. Something like that.
yeah. And they won't do that, what, 5 weeks before the season ends? I mean, right, we're week 19, season ends
Mm,
around week 24, right? 25, if there's one. So they won't, just shut them down, like
yes,
Commission.
that's true.
But they will, they will start to miss some games, right?
They
They'll
will.
just
They will.
rest some players. Like Commission said, back to backs. Minutes are gonna be limited, but they will play from time to time. That's why it makes it harder, right? What makes it easier is that when you're in the playoffs, it's easier to drop these players, unlike when you're in the regular season. But usually these things happen during the playoffs, so that's a good thing for us fantasy managers. All right, yeah, that's it. I think we're good for today. Or if you want to know more about the silly season stuff, follow us on our Facebook page, or maybe on Twitter, or maybe on or just listen to our quickies every day, and we'll keep you up to date on which players to pick, to monitor, right, to watch closely as you go through the fantasy players. All right, bye guys. See you tomorrow.